The grunts do kind of sound like Knute. He's going up against that guy. Ooh. He's not going easy on him, that's for sure. There's a lot of onlookers as well. I mean, Ragnar kind of got him ready for that, didn't he? That's holding back, eh? Yeah. Things change. People change. She's cute. Yeah, like I said, a lot of onlookers. Tough men. Strong beards. It's getting quite the workout, isn't it? 下がればより戦いが長引きます。全身により活路を開いてこそ王者の剣という。敵のみならず配下の者もまた陛下の剣の風格を見ているのです。Oh yeah, these are seasoned men, tough men. それにエストリズも見ている。気づいておるのだろう。なるほど。途中から一段と打ち込みが鋭くなったのはあれがためか。そう。 Oh, I'm sure it is a slip. He's clever, isn't he? Oh yeah, it's a tactic. Ah! A different approach. Man is going through it. いや、たまげたな。5本に1本とはいえ、ウルフに参ったを言わせるとは。ウルフ殿、最後になんか予想したよな。He made him look. I like him, I like him. お見事な立ち会いで。What you got there, Gunna? は、例の調査の書類作成が終わりました。後ほどお部屋で。Yeah, let's do that. Handsome lad. 資産家というものはなかなかおらんものでして、あとはまあ全体的な増税で対処するほかないでしょう。ああ、それなどおすすめ物件ですな。スベルケルのケテル、南部でかなりの土地を所有する豪農です。各豪族の保有戦力が明記されておらん。必要な数字だ。 調べて追加報告しろ。Oh God. は、承知しました。イングランド王即位後、クヌートは緊急の案件を抱えていた。新たな財源の確保である。Bit of requisition is going to be required then, right? しかし、その維持費はイングランド国内の税収によって賄われており、It's an expensive affair, isn't it? イングランド国民の不満を呼ぶ一因となっている。クヌートのもう一つの藩都となったデンマークから費用を捻出できない場合、Oh, it's coming, isn't it? 駐留軍の規模を縮小せざるを得ない。Can you afford to do that though? やりようはあるとおっしゃいましたが、どのような直轄量を増やす。Requisition. 開拓ですか？開拓以外の方法で 王の持つ畑を増やすのだ。接収ですか。いや、陛下、それこそいくらなんでも。He's considering it. He doesn't just say it. 金がいるのだ。少々の無理は通さねばならぬ。増税によって国全体に不満の種をまくよりは上策であろう。いっそも軍団を解散させちゃうというのは論外だ。征服者でありデンマーク人であるよう。 イングランドの This is how they meet. This is how they meet, isn't it? まま動く直参の軍団はそのまま統治の実行力でもあるのだ。王とは剣だ。こんな世で武力を持たぬ王に何ができる。This is how they meet, isn't it? Oh wow. Now the intro starts or begins. God damn it. I love this show. I love it. ハラルド王が
Yeah, Kettle, prepare yourself.
1週間前だ。一足遅かったな、親父。
そう。じゃあ、わしが農場を出る頃にはすでに
Is that the payment?
山ほどお見舞いの品を持ってきたというのに。
Yeah.
3隻分かい。
Kind of reiterating that he's
大きなこった。
able to offer.
こうなっては次の電波法になる方とも良い関係を築いておかなくては。オルマル。
Oh my. Go on, man.
若様でしたらさっきお一人で街
Rocking that stash in the last episode.
子供じゃねえんだろ。
子供じゃい。
Yeah.
いつまで経っても子供なんじゃ。あのバカ息子は。てめえからぶつかってきたんだろうが。
That stash
けん
though.
なよこら。謝んのはそっちだろうが。あ、ずっと。どういう言い草だそりゃ。
Who's this?
どうしてくれんだこれ。商売物の反物だぞ。ああ、やだよ。野郎。どう育てたらこんなひねくる野郎が出来上がんだ。やんならやんぞ。
Come on, Omar. Kings and swords, eh?
今日だぞ。非今日だ。男がやるっつったらよ。
Is that right, old lord?
すなわち玉の取り合いよ。日頃の獲物の用意がねえってのはよ。そんだけてめえにノルド男児の覚悟が足りてねえってことなんだよ。なら聞くが、誰が買ってやったと思っとるんだ、
Yeah.
その覚悟を。その他物は弁償させてくれ。これぐらいあれば良いかな。
Yeah. The man can afford it. You know, they've been actually setting that up for some time now.
そういうことでしたら、こっちは別に。ほら、ギョロメ。
Bug.
お前がどうやって揉め事を収めるか期待しとったが。
No.
じゃあな。まだまだ大きい取引は任せられんな。
It is.
うちのせがれが
My
失
son?
礼いたしました。私、レイフ・エイリクソンと申すものです。ほう、養子ですか。まあ、そんなようなものです。
Makes sense.
これはちょっとした縁で、わしの元へ来まして。俺、ちゃんと挨拶しなさい。トルフィンです。さっき
Oh.
はどうも。みんなギョロメって呼ぶんで、そう呼んでく
Yeah,
だ
I
さい。
can see. Thorfinn.
フィン。あ、いや、失礼。うちの家人にも同じ名の者がおるなと思っただけでして。まあ、
Leif?
静かで真面目な働き者
Leif?
です。わしもこれをトルフィンと名付けた方が良かったかな。そのトルフィン、ご家人の方はもしや奴隷ではありますまいか。はい。よくお分かりになりました。
It's always in the back of his
お気
mind.
を悪くされてはと思い、身分は伏せたのですが。ノル
Oh,
ド
the
人で
hands.
金髪で茶色い目。またそれですか。
He found him. Leif, you
出
found
身
him.
はアイスランドで、元は戦士だったのでは。体に無数の刀傷があるのを見たことはありますが。
It's him. Leif, it's him.
期待しない方がいいですよ。またどうせ俺の時みたいに。
Oh.
分かっとるが、ここまでの
But
特徴はあ
it makes sense that he's not getting too excited at this moment.
奴隷になった友人の息子をもう何年に
Oh
も
man. I'm so surprised that it's
どこだってどっちゃ。いやいや、だからそのケティルさんの農場にな、も
oh.
っと寄り道しようかな。片道なんぼ、ここから順風で5日とか言うとった。じゃあ10日以上の時間のロスじゃねえか。寄り道って言わねえよ。聞いてくれモルス、今度のトルフィンはいつもとは違うんだ。10日も日程を遅らせて、もし風向きや潮に恵まれなかったらどうすんだよ。悪いが今回ばかりは使わねえ。ご了承ください。
Fair enough from this man's perspective, right? Oh, yes.
しかし驚いた。
Let's get a bit of a dolly shot in there.
昨日申し込んで、もうクヌート陛下に拝謁が許されるとは。
いや、正直俺も驚いてる。
Yeah, there's a
お
reason.
忙しい方なんだがな。
There's a reason he made time for this man.
貢ぎ物が良かったのかもしれねえな。
そうだろ。
I'm sure he did. He got the gears turning.
うちの農作物は質も量も南部で一番だ。陛下とて
うちと取引を持って
God.
そんなことはあるまいや。
あれらの作物はすべてそなたの畑か
Yeah,
ら
let's
産
get
じ
the
たもの
details out.
はい、さようでございます。
そなたのような力ある豪農はデンマークの宝だ。今後も国力を支える礎としての誇りを持って仕事に
He
励む。
has a bit of a devilish charm about his look, doesn't he?
クルート陛下、お願いがあります。俺を陛下の軍団に入れてください。できれば兄ちゃんと同じ重視団に。
Ideally.
お
Oh no.
そなたの重視団入りに関しては重視長と協議し明日通達する。それまでイエリング城下に投留しておれ。
But there's oh yes.
気の小さいやつほどここ一番で何するか分かったもんじゃねえな。とにかくやっちまったもんはしょうがねえ。これ以上一族に恥の上塗りをしねえように気をつけるこった。
よくいる手合いです。実力はなくプライドは高い。己の力量を全く分かっておりません。
There could be another angle.
戦場では真っ先にああいうものが死にます。部下には欲しくありませんな。
Score.
では
Took a turn there.
もう一つの意見を聞こう。
大いに使います。あの若者。
そうだな。使える。典型的なノルドの若者だ。それも愚かな。こちらの思うように踊ってくれるだろう。万民の平和のためだ。悪いが泣いてもらおう。あのケティルが接収第1号だ。
Yeah. And that's how they meet again. Thorfinn and Knute. Oh man. Okay, so back at it. But yeah, as you can tell, you know, it's a bit of a different look. Even I might look a little bit different, kind of. Because yeah, you know, I recorded the episode itself some time ago actually. Yeah, it's been some time. I just kind of fell behind on it a bit. You know, some things came up, outside stuff. And, you know, since this is the only show or series that is airing at the moment, it kind of fell behind because it's the one show that you cannot pre-record, right? Like the others that are scheduled on the channel. So this kind of fell behind, but, you know, I'm trying to get back on track. I feel that once I can get the Shingeki special out there, then, you know, I'll have some time to really get back on track and be caught up. I'm not that far behind, so it shouldn't be that big of an issue. But also, I didn't really get to record my post-episode portion for this episode. It was just the episode itself, and then, yeah, it was that type of timing. You know, I just kind of had to leave it like that at the moment. But yeah, you know, really excited to get back into it. Checked out the episode again. You know, it's essentially a table setting type episode, kind of setting up the roadmap, the things to come ahead, right? I mean, it does a really clear job of setting up the things that are ahead of us, right? The things at play now. By the end of this episode, you see that there is a distinct possibility now of a Thorfinn and Knute reunion. I mean, it's a really, really strong possibility. You know, throughout this episode, it starts to become clear that, yeah, Kettle's farm is going to be targeted. And, you know, like I mentioned during the episode, I believe they've been setting this up for a long time, right since the beginning, since episode 1. Kettle and his farm, and how he is able to kind of afford so much, and how he's able to send such impressive tributes to King Harald, the late King Harald, right? And even in this episode, they're really playing it up. Oh, my land is the best in the south, right? My farms are the best in the south. This shows that he's able to afford paying off Bug Eyes, who I really enjoyed. The introduction of Bug Eyes is certainly a bit of a tonal shift, right? You've got the Olmar and Bug Eyes. Thorfinn, he is Thorfinn. His actual name is Thorfinn. And clearly he resembles our Thorfinn quite a bit. And that might have been the reason the lovely, the kind, the incredible Leif Erikson comes across him in the first place and then essentially just takes him on. He takes him on anyways, even if it isn't his Thorfinn, right? I mean, this man, this young adult is now calling Leif Erikson his father, right? I mean, Leif Erikson is just incredible, isn't he? He's still out there, still looking for Thorfinn. But you see, over the years, he's felt defeat so much that he tries not to get his hopes up too much. He's really quite level-headed. You see, I was actually a bit more, excited for Leif Erikson than he was, right? I was like, Leif, come on. This is it. This is your Thorfinn. But then it became clear, he spent a long time getting burned. But you see, something lovely came out of it. He found this man, Bug Eyes, Thorfinn, and he just took him along. That's to me, that just feels so beautiful, right? And also now he has someone that resembles Thorfinn. You see, in this episode, he kind of, leans in. There's a beautiful shot of his hands. And again, the beautiful detail in his hands is quite noticeable as well as he puts it on his shoulder, pulls him in. It's almost as if he's got this photo, a real life photo. He kind of resembles this Thorfinn, and he's actually using this Thorfinn to kind of ask Kettle, does he resemble him? Does he resemble my son Bug Eyes? Right? So yeah, that's it's interesting. It's really quite effective on many different levels, isn't it? But ultimately, that reunion, the Leif Erikson and Thorfinn reunion, yeah, that's going to have to be delayed, because it is understandable that his crewmates or his shipmates or that one guy who seems to be in charge, he's not open to it, right? Because of timing issues and scheduling issues and delaying issues or delay issues, right? And clearly he has entertained his detours in the past, right? He knows all about Leif Erikson's hunt for Thorfinn. He's like, I'm telling you, this is the one. This is the one, right? So understandable that he's not open to that detour, and it appears to be quite the detour, and they are on quite the schedule. So yeah, I'm sure he'll get to see him sooner or later. But I hope the moment they do reunite once again, that Thorfinn, and I'm sure of it, I think this new Thorfinn is going to be so thankful to come across Leif Erikson again, and perhaps even apologetic. So that's a really beautiful potential down the line. But before any beautiful reunions, there might be some rough, explosive reunions. Because yeah, like I mentioned earlier, Knute is going to come across Thorfinn. The setup is there now. It's there now, isn't it? And I think in my last episode's discussion, I was talking about the possibility of them seeing the individual each one has become now, or the person they've become, the contrast, the jarring growth, or I suppose you can call it growth, or the jarring transformation is a bit more accurate in this sense. I think I'll get to see it. But yeah, Knute, of course, Knute remains one of the most compelling characters of this story, for sure. You see his inner Oscalot on display, on showcase. The cunning side, the ruthless side, full of trickery, open to using trickery, right? The ends justify the means, all of that. It's on display. And the thing is, I have a lot of concern for Olmar at this moment. I feel for him and I fear for him, because our dude Knute, he's cunning. He is so cunning. And you see that he has a read on him. He understands the type of person Olmar is. You could tell that he knows they can manipulate him, and he knows how he's going to behave in any given situation, right? So it's an interesting position to be in, right? I'm actually a bit more concerned for one of the newer characters in Olmar, and the person that is making me concerned is our own Knute, right? Of course, he's changed quite a bit. Times change a person. The road he's on certainly required a change, right? And oh my goodness, has he changed? Gunnar, who I enjoy quite a bit as well. He's a great side character to have, a supporting cast member to have alongside the other guy, the guy who's all scarred up. who's firmly on Knute's side, someone he can trust, right? Yeah, it's pretty clear at this point he was the one who facilitated King Harald's passing, right? To put it nicely, I suppose. He's also able to get quite the read on Olmar, and he understands Knute's angle, or the perspective Knute is alluding to. So yeah, isn't it crazy? I'm afraid for Olmar and the things to come. And then of course that kind of takes me to the other brother, Thorgil. I was so, maybe not shocked, but surprised to see how caring he is. Really, he is quite caring. He looks out for his doofy, goofy young brother. He knows the type of person his young brother is, but he's protective. He looks out for him. He tells him, listen, man, you really dropped the ball and you embarrassed our name. But it's okay. It's done and dusted. Let it be. Past is the past. Let's move on. Right? So I love that. And you see that he does kind of stand up for him against Kettle as well, in the sense that, Kettle's spot on as well. Olmar is not made for this. He's just not. He understands that. And Kettle is also protective in a different manner, but also kind of going back to my point about the setup, right? Kettle and his farm. Then you go to his father, Gramps, right? They set that up as well, right? More money brings you more problems. More money, more problems. It puts a target on your back. It puts you out there, right? Unfortunately, he was spot on. The old head was spot on. He's been there. He's done that. He knows. He knows to lay low. He knows to just live within his means. There's no need to put yourself out there to that extent, right? Now, unfortunately, he stands out so much. His farm, his tributes, the taxes he's able to pay, they stick out like a sore thumb in the list. Gunnar straight up told him, I recommend this one, Kettle's farm. Unfortunate. It's unfortunate. If you look at it from Knute's perspective, it's a legitimate tactic. It is necessary because he finds himself in a bit of a tricky position, right? And you see that as the king, he has found, or he has decided on the solution. And then, of course, there is the ethics side of this. Listen, at this point, it's pretty clear that Knute, it's putting the audience in a position to see this metamorphosis. And Knute is doing things that us, the audience, cannot always agree with, right? But you can kind of understand his stance or his approach, but this idea or notion of potentially pulling back or pulling out or diminishing those military forces, or the Danish ones specifically stationed in England, no. It's just not a possibility, given how he's kind of received or perceived in England. They're not really fans of him, are they? And you see that it's a costly affair. And then their taxes, the English taxes, are kind of paying for that military force. So in addition to them already maybe not liking him as much, or him not being as sure about his position there, hence the Danish forces being stationed there, now the taxes are essentially being raised, and that's making them even more unimpressed, or even more angry, or even more discontent with this new king. So it's a tricky situation. And then, of course, here in Denmark, he's not really open to raising taxes ultimately, right? He thinks this is the right solution. And the thing is, his farm, Kettle's farm, might just be more than enough in this case, given its really impressive size. So maybe just this one farm, Kettle's farm, might do the trick. Now, of course, he's going to have to justify it, right? Because there's a lot of others out there that might fear something similar potentially happening to them, right? So let's see how he spins it. I'm sure he has something already lined up or planned out. And then, of course, like I mentioned earlier, Olmar might be used in some manner. Not might be used. It's pretty clear that they are going to use him, right? As a tool, as a pawn, as a catalyst, as something. They know they can get him to do something here. Get him to act out, get him to make some kind of immature decision, manipulate him. All those kinds of things are kind of running through my head at the moment. And that's the reason I really felt kind of bad for Olmar. And, at the moment I'm feeling a little bit bad for Kettle as well. It'll be interesting to see how he ultimately handles it. He's certainly not a fighter. The way it's being set up, it doesn't feel like it's just going to be as simple as, oh, okay, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I understand. Yeah, take over the farm. Because again, I don't think there's going to be any offer on the table because he cannot afford to be offering anything for a farm of that scale. No, there's going to be nothing of the sort. That farm is about to become the Crown's, essentially. Right? But then, of course, I should touch up on the other people on the farm, mainly Einar and Thorfinn. How does this potentially affect their potential freedom? And, the crazy thing is, there's a potential here that Thorfinn's newfound conviction, newfound path might be tested against or by the person he might have least expected, right? Depending on the handling of this requisition and how it goes down, right? In terms of taking it over, yeah, it'll be fascinating. It's quite the compelling setup. But lastly, let's go all the way back to the opening of the episode, the sparring session, right? You see Astrid's out there. She's really quite concerned and quite baffled to see her brother Knute really going through it, really going through this really intense training in sparring sessions, real swords. She recalls him being afraid of swords. But on that point, you see that by the end of it, he immediately just gets all of that off, the armor, and tosses the sword aside. I mean, ultimately, he still doesn't really like it or enjoy it, but he knows it's a necessity. It is something he has to embrace as this figurehead, as the king. And then again, you see that cunning side of him come out. The Askeladd in him comes out as he does outfox his sparring partner by taking a different approach, using a different tactic, right? He uses his knowledge of his sparring partner, Wolf, this information that he has about him, and he kind of uses that against him, right? Gets him to kind of react or act out or behave in a specific manner, right? Just needs a split moment. Get him distracted. It really reminded me of, I think it might have been episode 7 or 8 of season 1. It was the duel, Thorfinn against Askeladd back home, right? Once they get back home, there you see Askeladd. He just knows how to get Thorfinn to react in a really specific manner, and he gets him to rush in, game over, dislocates his arm. Something a little bit similar happened here. Here you see that Knute felt that he has to take a different approach, and it was so effective, right? He used his knowledge and understanding of his sparring partner and the things that make him tick, right? His affection for his sister, essentially, his sparring partner's affection for Knute's sister comes into play, and he uses it. He uses anything to get the upper hand, any means necessary, essentially. That's his approach to a lot of things these days. But yeah, I think that should do it for this one, folks. I'm really excited to be back at it. But if you enjoyed that, consider dropping a like, consider dropping some comments, give me your thoughts. If you are interested in full length, timer-based full length, of course, or full opacity, no filter or no opacity mask. If you're interested, the links are in the description and the pinned comment. Also links to social media, things like Twitter, Instagram. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me again, folks. And thank you for your time, because time is precious. It really is. And I do hope to see you again soon for the next one. Until then, take it easy.